The American public schooling system. It is responsible for the future of basically all the youth in this country. Receiving an education is crucial to the success one can obtain in its capitalistic landscape, a landscape where the degree can determine a dream career. Due to capitalism, there exists a class system based on the wealth of citizens. Those who are in the upper classes usually are not aware that the public schooling system has a huge flaw, a flaw that could eradicate a student's future. This flaw lies in the way the public schooling system of America is funding their schools. In urban areas of the United States, the district receives funding from 3 different sources. The money comes from state funding, federal funding, and local funding. Because this system is flawed, different states have their own amount received from each of the sources, and the required amount of money to maintain the school is sometimes not met. This is for the most part due to local funding. Local funding is the money coming from property tax. This then creates an issue because if a district is from an area where the homes are poor or scarce, the amount for local funding will be low. This lack of money negatively impacts the student learning through the poor learning conditions that follow as a result. Some of these conditions are dirtiness, and a lack of teachers and long-term teacher-to-student learning relationships. Mrs. Weichi, a teacher currently at Foss High School, has experienced this issue firsthand. Before teaching at Foss, she taught in Baltimore, Maryland, where the school she taught at had this issue. Mrs. Weichi was kind enough to share her experience on this topic. The first story she shares is when she was working in one of the schools at Baltimore. Due to the low local funding of the area, the school does not receive enough money to maintain a clean environment. She said that the school had lead-contaminated water. Additionally, during the quiet hours of the day, rodents transpire, squeaking and running across the floor. Moreover, this would be very bad for the science department. Experiments cannot be carried out under these conditions due to the many safety hazards that pertains. The second story she shared was about how she found out about the school. This was actually before she got a job in one of the schools at Baltimore. Her friend called her and said that there was a teaching position available in one of the schools. However, when Mrs. Weichi was applying to get that job, the position was no longer available. No longer available, not because someone else has taken it before her, but actually because the school could not pay for any more teachers. The public school funding system is ineffective and insufficient to maintain what is pretty much the most significant role for learning. Without a teacher, students might as well not come to school since no one is there to teach them. On the subject of teachers and students, it is important for a teacher to build a strong relationship in the terms of learning with the student. A study from Harvard titled Relationships and Learning states that a student learning can be improved by this long-term learning relationship. Another story that Mrs. Weichi shared applies to this. When she had a teaching position in Baltimore, she saw that 20% of her colleagues left during that year at her job, which is the rate of turnover. When a new teacher comes and fills in the missing spots, students must create a new relationship and adapt to the different conditions that the teacher wants. The funding system is responsible for this. This will waste time and hinder the students' learning capabilities. Also, Mrs. Weichi shared how this year at Foss, she witnessed a teacher in the science department left and what that did to the students. She described the students in that class as distracted and inattentive when the new teacher arrived. That was only one time. Just imagine the difficulties students must face when the teacher changes multiple times. To sum it up, the social justice issue is that the public school funding system is bad because it does not account and compensate for the states that have low local funding. 3 negative impacts it has on the student that we looked at were dirty classroom, not enough teachers, and the difficulty of meeting new teachers, creating a harder environment to learn. According to this chart by the Education Trust, 27 states have districts that do not receive enough money for maintaining their schools. The chart shows the 50 states and the gap between local funding and state funding. The gray bars indicate that there is no closing of that gap. The red bar indicates how the gap is further widening in those states. 27 of the 50 states is either gray or red. That means that half of the United States is suffering from this issue. Many students are obstructed from learning by the social justice issue. The way to fix this issue and provide students with a better education is by having money from different states that doesn't need it transferred over to the states that does need it. As of now, students are suffering from the effect of this current funding system. On January of 2018, a school in Baltimore had to stop fixing and providing heat to the classroom because of low local funding. This is impacting the future of the youth, and the funding system must change.